So, first rule of Intercooler Club, take the rubber seal off. It's not attached to much. Why am I doing that first? Probably makes more sense to get the battery out, doesn't it? So let's do that. So the leads are already off of it, which means all I really have to do is undo the clamp, which is a 13mm bolt, and it's quite long. Access is, everything's kind of rammed into these a bit. I once came up with the slightly foolish idea of putting a 24 valve 3 litre V6 in one of these. I'm glad I didn't bother trying. I think someone else has tried. I don't know if they ever finished it. If they did, they're a better man than me. So, is that back even up? Yes. There we go. One battery out of it. And already access is improved. Well, that pump looks great, man. I mean, it genuinely looks kind of new. But it clearly isn't. So since it's not a happy one, we will change it. I mean, you can get to most of everything you need to get to in this gap, but it's slightly easier being able to get your hand down the corner here. So I think we will pop that bad boy off. So you've got the boost pipe. Undo the clamp for that. You've got the relator pipe, or whatever it's called, the pipe that goes from the intercooler to the pump. So that is where the boost goes into the pump, acts on a diaphragm, and the more boost, the more fuel. Although this was set at the factory, I still think it overboosts, and it works on a weird sort of offset conical plunger that it does things and stuff. I might have a go at playing with that at some point, because I'm not convinced that it's... I think it overfuels a bit when it's on boost. Although, since I've changed the timing, I might actually take it for a black before doing anything else to the pump, and see how it drives. But this has the later sort of Xantia ZX style fuel filter housing that lives atop the thermostat housing, rather than the old school one that lived over there. You've got a long one and two short ones. It's obvious which one goes where. Just put a new seal on this as well. It's I've lost count the number of times this bloody thing's been on and off. Right. 2. And there's 3. Delightful. This pipe is a bit of a knob to get off in this corner. There you go. But it will succumb. And then with the intercooler out of the way, you've got much more light. And much better access to the pump. It's still quite dark down there. because it's that time of year. But we have, let's take on a little walk. There we are, and we can now get somewhat easier underneath all that shit to the hydraulic pump. It's kind of the heart of the hydraulic system. It feeds the steering, brakes and suspension. It's near a little pump. But alas, I mean, I hope this is the problem. It may not be, but everything about it screams that that pump is dog shit. So it's going to be a bit hard to film down there, I'll be honest. But essentially what I'm going to do, the pipe that comes out of it is actually right down underneath it. It's very hard to see from here. But there's the... Oh dear. There is a bolt there on the adjuster, which is 11mm. There's a 14mm down there that goes on into the stud that goes through the bracket. The stud goes forward and you can't clear the stud because it hits the hydraulic pipe. So I think what I will do is undo the bracket that the pump sits on, which is held on with 313s, and then I can slide that towards the battery tray, and then I should be able to pop the pump out and pop another one in. Shite, but yeah, no. So we'll see what the MOT man has to say. It's not quite finished. So the wind noise that Dad complained about, it's pointless me filming this, but there's a felt channel that the window glides up and down in and seals the glass. And it was actually jammed into the door right up in that corner. I tried to pull it out and it's broken. It's also, it doesn't fit very well down here, which you also won't be able to see. Which means taking the door apart again, which is slightly annoying really, because I've just sort of put it all back together. But anyway, we'll yeah, rip that out and replace it. I have more. What is it like to drive? Apart from that annoying anti-theft locking thing that it does, which really annoys me. Things I've already discovered, which I kind of knew about already, to be fair, is that the water temperature gauge reads low. In my BX it reads high. I've managed to find one genuine transmitter, the sensor, which is on its way to me, so I should change that when it arrives. And there's a couple of bits of trim that creak slightly. Now it's a BX, they all do that a tad, but it's only a couple of bits. It does have that crack. Find one that doesn't. Let's see what it goes like, shall we? Ever so slightly offset still, which yeah, it's not, I can't, the splines on the wheel are quite you know, gappy on these, so I can't move it a spline over. It takes it too far the other way, and even though the rack is censored, I'm going to move the rack ever so, I mean, it's, you know, we're talking a fraction of a millimetre probably, but I'll move it over probably, you know, a quarter of a turn on each track rod end, which should make it about right. So there's a few little bits of setting up that still needs to happen, but I mean, all in all, it drives very nicely, and it feels quite nice. It feels tight, apart from those couple of little rattly bits of trim. So the wind noise is definitely quite annoying from that window. So yeah, Dad did say not to worry about it, but it is actually quite annoying. So it's very annoying actually. Radio 4 with the bass bin on, that's going to be annoying, so we'll fix that. supposed to be chucking it down today, and it has not chucked it down today. And I was kind of, although we've had the jet wash on it, I was kind of hoping I might be able to take it out in the rain, just to make sure that the sunroof drains and, you know, the windscreen and everything was actually suitably, you know, like watertight and whatnot, or everything working as it should. But it hasn't before it goes back, because it would be a bit of a knob if I took it back to Dad's and he had it parked outside his house and then it chucked down with rain and the car drank. It's never much fun, is it? So, but alas, no rain. There is a big cloud in front. I might drive towards the big cloud and see what happens. I'm missing the archers. Just be starting now. Never mind. Suspect I'll survive. It's a nice place to be again. Apart from that wind noise. The wind noise is quite annoying. But I'll fix that. The engine's relatively quiet. I'm not entirely convinced this sound deadening stuff I put in is quite as good as the manufacturer said. Granted, I haven't, you know, I didn't measure the decibels in here before I took it apart, and I'm not measuring the decibels now because I don't have a decibel meter thing. But I'm not convinced it's really any quieter than it was. I don't know. I never really used to notice the wind noise in it until Dad mentioned it, and now of course all I can hear is the bloody wind noise. That's the way it goes, isn't it? When someone points out something that's wrong, you can suddenly notice it, you can't not notice it. But it is nice to be out in a BX again, I'll be honest. I really like these things, and I don't drive mine anywhere near enough. Comfortable, point and skirt, everything about them is just, I think they are the coolest car ever made, and I know that there are various people that disagree with that, but I really like them. I think this is the sort of pinnacle of lightweight 90s motoring that is just point and skirt. You've got enough feedback to make it enjoyable to drive without it being hard work. The suspension's great, but you've still got some feel in it. This one does have the later 16-valve roll bars front and back, but it doesn't have 16-valve spheres. So although the lead is a bit less than your regular BX, it still rides really quite nicely. It's not maybe quite as perfect as it could be, and I think again I've had it on the ramp all this time and I still haven't still haven't actually done it, but the rear ride height is a little low. I mean, not a lot, but it's a little bit low, so I am going to raise the ride height after we just headlights, obviously, because I'm only raising the rear, not the front. So the headlight aim will drop, so I have to reset the headlights, but that's fine. I think it just needs to be up a little bit more at the back. I can't remember the measurements off the top of my head now, but I'm not going to mind, so I've got it written down somewhere, so I'll do that. It might just make it a little bit better. On paper, the ride height won't make any difference to the ride, because that's done with the spheres and not out the height of the car. The car set purely by how much fluid you pump into the cylinder that raises it all over it. The actual suspension is done by the nitrogen, but and the damper holes in the spheres. However, I have noticed with my 16 valve it rode really low, and the ride it wasn't quite right, and I raised it to where it should be, and it was better. So I seem to be enjoying having a run. It's been, I mean, nothing mechanical like speeding parked up and left. It doesn't do it any good. But I mean, these in particular really don't seem to enjoy being parked up. The struts go sticky and everything goes a bit horrible. But this is feeling better the further I go in it. Although obviously we've now reached yet another set of roadworks, because you can, never have too many roadworks, right? I mean, change. Yes, they will. Really quite lively, and yeah. It does need a good clear out. Also needs a speedo calibrating, because that is 8 miles an hour out. This sort of speed, 68 is 60, and it's, I mean, granted they were never that great in these, but it's a long way out. Hence it's got the GPS one. So yeah, I'm after that. So you won't be getting it back today. There's a couple of little bits I still want to do to this, just to make it as it should be. It's not quite there yet. And it passed the MOT with a completely clean sheet, which is how I like it. I get quite offended and pissed off if I get an advise, much less a fail. But yeah, no advices, so I'm happy with that. But there's still just a couple of little things that I think need to happen to make it better. Finding out what that bloody rattle is for a start. Something down there rattling, which is really, it's a plastic rattle. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's bloody annoying, so I'll have to have a look at that. I must have opened it up a bit, but alas, I'm now stuck on a truck, so suspension is definitely not bad. Those manhole covers really unsettle the C5. Really don't like it, and this one's horrific. Coming up anytime there. There you go, barely noticed it. It's not bad, and the C5 shakes itself to death going through that, but then of course that needs the suspension bushes doing, and possibly some spheres, because although C5s are apparently the spheres last forever, they don't. Nothing lasts forever. something in that area. Might have to get someone else to drive it whilst I'm... Oh, I know what it is. I can't reach it from here, but I know what it is. It's the cover over the speaker in the door. Now this, in a normal car or the C5, pretty much hit your head on the roof. But that just kind of goes over it. Okay, that's quite smoky. It does need, I need to get it on a road where I can properly give it the beans. This road is not it, but yeah, it needs a bit like me after a night on the old Vindaloo. It needs a good clear out. And it's very hard to do that in traffic on an A road. So try and back off a bit. Give yourself a little bit of room in front. Although that said, no one's they're not gonna. Oh, he's turning off. Okay, so I might need a little bit of room just to nail it. There on. Yeah, that was quite a lot of smoke. That was a fair chunk of smoke. Ooh, you gonna stop? You want to, did you? Getting the glass where you actually want it takes ages, and this still doesn't look perfect. The reason for that is, well, A, there's a load of Vaseline around it. It's good to Vaseline the rubbers because they go off and you can't get them anymore. But it looks like it's low in this corner, but you can actually see where the seal has it's lost its form and it's gone low. So the glass is actually fine. It's just the shape of the rubber which is all a little bit not perfect. However, it's the best one I've got. You can't get the seals, so what do you do? However, I could get it about right, but not exactly where I wanted it. There's various ways of adjusting these. So again, you got the 3 screws that hold this frame on, and the frame slides back so you can get to the screws along each side. There is some adjustment on the glass with those screws so you can move it up and down. But it was parking low. Every time it came from the tilt to parked, it was parking low. So what I did was manipulated the button to just get the motor to park it when the glass was kind of parked where I wanted it. And then I undid those 2 screws, and you can actually drop the motor down. And then I use the button to park the motor, and then press the motor back in and do those 2 screws up so that it was parking where I wanted the glass. What you tend to find when you do that is that it will still be a knob and it will park somewhere slightly different anyway. But at that point, I had some adjustment on the 3 screws that live underneath there. So now it parks where I want it to park. This is how you flatten a battery. 101. And it perks where I want it, both ways. So that's quite a long time to do, to get it. I mean, again, it's always a bit of a, you can't ever really get it completely perfect everywhere. Maybe they did from factory. I'm not entirely convinced they did though. But that is now not bad. The only bit that annoys me, I said, is the bit across the front that looks low, even though it isn't. It's just the rubber. But that, unfortunately, is, unless I can find a brand new seal strip somewhere, that is the way it is. So next up is this. So this is the felt, and he broken. And the glass actually slides up and down this, but that is, well, it's dead, is what that is. It has completely, it's really hard to do one-handed, I'll be honest. So yeah, it's, oh blimey, it's gone really hard in that corner. So this had actually been, that's why it's not actually fitted. It's gone a bit out of shape, hasn't it? But yeah, so this was not fitted in the corners. It had actually all wedged itself right up and in. There's not a lot I can do with that because it's broken. So and it's kind of dying up there as well. It's not in the best of shape. So you can see it's not even anywhere near where it should be. So I'll have to take that door apart and then replace that rubber. My lovely fresh sound deadening / membrane that I've had to tear off already to replace the little felt bit, which, as you may have noticed, isn't quite in yet, but you know, we're getting there. So you'll have to feed it all the way around. I always start at the back edge, down there, work it up, get it into that corner. This is pretty much the last decent one I could find of these felts. I had several more to try and they were all knackered. So this one was half decent, so we're just going to feed that in. And then reinstall the glass. And the motor. I've actually left the motor and the idler thingy on the rollers, so it should just be a case of lift the motor back up and in, tuck the idler in, and then remove the rest of my shiny new sound deadening and replace it with another new piece, and then put the door back together. And that should be about it. And there we go. It is all back together again. I've also changed the plastics around. Of course, this one's filthy, so I'll have to clean that one up. But this one had a slight little crack in the top. So I thought, well, fuck it, I've got more. So I'll change that. Just get more sound deadening shit strewn everywhere. So that, I think, is a wrap. As far as this goes, it is MOT'd, it runs. Hopefully the replacement felt, which now actually kind of fits and whatnot, will eliminate the wind noise. I'll find out tomorrow. And that is about it. So thanks ever so much for watching. It's been a bit of a, however many months it's been, 2.5 months. So it's been a bit of a long one, but appreciate all your very kind comments that you've given me on this one. And we'll move on now to the next one.